Hi, my name is Christopher Carter, and I'm a freshman here in the ECHO program, and this is my video portfolio for the semester. So, I'm actually going to take you on a little inside scoop on what my experience was like being in ECHO this semester and then being in field placement. So, this semester I was placed in the urban school in Toledo, Ohio. And it's actually a charter school, and it is an experience that I'll never forget. And so, as my outline for this video, I'm actually going to go through my blogs as my outline. So, when I finally got my field placement, it was a few weeks into the semester, and it was actually Monday, September 23rd. And my field placement was on Wednesdays, and so that Wednesday, the bus left at 7:30. I didn't get up to 7:30 thinking the bus left at 8 o'clock because all the other field placements did. So I missed the first day of field placement, which was like horrible for me. I was so mad because I could not wait. And so my first field placement was really interesting. When I first got there with all the other BGSU students, all the other students went right to their field placement, right to their classrooms, and I had to meet with the principal, who did like a one-on-one with me, somewhat like an interview that they do with their new teachers, and I really learned a lot about the principal. He is a guy who's actually from Detroit, and I'm from Detroit, so we had a lot in common there, and he gave me a lot of background information about the type of students that I would be working with this semester. And so it's an urban school, and he just talked to me about how these are the type of students who just go through so much adversity and have so many issues outside of just being a student here, and they have behavior issues and just all of those different things, giving me the whole 9 yards. And when I grew up in school, I was in urban schools my entire life, and I knew exactly what he was talking about, and I could identify quite well with what he was describing to me. And so after he interviewed me and stuff like that, he took me to a classroom where he was going to place me in. He originally wanted me to be put on the intervention team because they were short of staff, and he felt like I could be very useful there. However, the supervising teacher for the intervention specialist team wasn't there that week. He was out sick. And so I was informed that I would start that next week. So when I got there, they put me in an English classroom, a high school English classroom, which was 10th and 11th grade. And when I got there was actually another BGSU student already in there. So there were two BGSU students in there and the one English teacher. In the classroom, there was actually an attachment in the back, which was like a closet area, where the special education teacher had his office and his workspace, along with another BGSU student who was going into special ed. And so it was just interesting having those different amounts of people in the room. And so when I first started, it was interesting because I noticed a lot of things like student behavior, how the students kind of interacted with each other, how the students interacted with me, my teacher's teaching style, the classroom flow, the disciplinary policy. And I realized that one of the biggest conclusions that I made from that day is that the students are not dumb. They're very intelligent. They're very smart. But sometimes they make bad decisions. And so that is what ultimately gets them in trouble. And so I remember my supervising teacher, she was just in her own world. And I'm like, is she going to introduce me? Like, they should probably know if there's another person in their room. So I'm like, I ain't waiting for her. I ain't got time. So I went ahead and just introduced myself. So I was like, good morning, class. My name is Mr. Carter. I'm from Bowling Green State University, and I have been placed here this semester as a field placement, and so I'll be doing some observations. If you need any assistance, let me know. I'm here as a resource to help you, and that's about it. I just introduced myself because I wasn't wasting time. I'm not waiting for her to introduce me, and I was thinking about what Roman said and what the principal said, and just jump right in and just be very interactive and just, just jump in. So I just jumped in, and so that was one of the foundations of that day. And so the next time I had field placement, which was the following week, I kind of got an idea how this field placement thing was going to be. Since the bus left at 7:30 every day, I was going to be, like, extremely tired because 7:30 is really early, and I'm like, oh my God. So I had to get up at nearly, like, 6, and I was sleepy. One of the fun parts about field placement and like throughout the entire semester, not just this specific week, was the bus driver. And we had a consistent bus driver, and I can't remember her name, but she was ghetto. She was ghetto, and she was funny, and I just appreciate her because, excuse me, she always had that comic relief to the situation. She was always real loose and cracking jokes and stuff like that. So, and I remember the last day of field placement, I had gave her a hug, and I told her, I'm like, you have a good holiday, you relax, and, hopefully I'll be seeing you when a new semester starts. And she was like, yeah, if they don't fire my behind. So we had a good laugh, and I just really appreciate it. She was so ghetto because I remember every time I would get ready to leave field placement and go to get on the bus, she would be out there. I'm like, oh yeah, she be on time. Like, she know what she doing. She'd be out there smoking a cigarette. I'd be like, oh my gosh, she just gotta have her puff. So I didn't mind it. But so this week was interesting because I really watched my supervising teacher as she went on like this emotional roller coaster. And it was her daughter's birthday, and her daughter's name was like Lily or something, and she wanted the students to write birthday cards to her. And so this obviously was something that wasn't in the original curriculum for the students to learn, and the student really didn't want to write cards for her, and she was just going on this emotional roller coaster. And so I'm like, I talked to the other BG students. I'm like, what if we play a game with the students? Like, what if we would do something interactive that would really grab their attention on like the subject and the topic that she was trying to get them to learn? And so, over our lunch break, we sat together and we pulled together the ideas that we had, the different topics, and we played the game. So, one of my favorite categories was like name that tune. So, I did songs like Family Guy, dun dun dun, dun dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. It was funny because the kids like, oh yeah, I know that, and it was, you know what I'm saying. So we did that, and then one thing that really I was really looking forward to was the students had wrote an essay, and my supervising teacher was explaining to me that a lot of the students get very personal in their essay about the adversities and tragic incidents that they've been through, and so she asked if the other BG student and I could do individual conferences with the students to help them with their writing, do some editing, give them some suggestions, some feedback, etc., etc. And so I actually decided to take my students out in the hallway as they came out individually. And so before I even graded their paper, I put everything aside. I'm like, we're going to listen in a minute. And I told them, I'm like, why are you here? Why are you here in school? What is your purpose here? And a lot of the students, they were telling me, I want to do this, I want to do that, and this and that. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what is it that you expect out of me as another student or another resource in the classroom? And a lot of students, they gave me reasons. I really need like additional assistance. I need one-on-one. I really need somebody to help me, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And so I wrote all these things down, making like an individual chart, a file for each student. I said, this is what you told me that you need from me. And this is what I'm going to be from you. And as a student, I respect you. I respect you as a person, and I ask that you just respect me as well, and we'll have a wonderful relationship. And these are the things that I'm going to hold you accountable to, and these are the things that I expect you to hold me accountable to. And from then, I had a wonderful relationship with the students that I was with second week of field placement. And from then, we went on editing our papers, and we were able to just do it from there. And I really, really, really enjoyed myself that day at field placement. While I was at field placement, I had the opportunity to step into another English teacher's classroom. This English teacher taught 6th grade, and she had an acorn on her desk. It was a big acorn, and I can show you here on my computer. I wanted to read it to you. I don't know if you can see it. And it says, great teachers. And it says that they see each given to them as a miracle unfolding. They know the giant oak tree lies within the acorn. And I really liked it. It was nice. And she shared with me that it was an acorn, a gift that the teacher had given to her. That her mother had given to her right before she was starting field placement. So that was interesting. The next time at Echo, it was quite interesting because, let me see. That time in Echo was really interesting because that was actually the opportunity where my supervising teacher, my original supervising teacher on the intervention specialist finally had arrived and was finally no longer sick. And so I was really excited because I'm like, this is going to be a new experience. And I was trying to remove a lot of my preconceived notions and a lot of my stereotypes and a lot of those different thoughts that were going in my mind about how negative this experience was going to be. And I just let the experience happen for it. And so when I sat down and I met with my new supervising teacher, they debriefed me and told me that I would be on the intervention team and I would be putting the students out of class and providing them with extra credit. So, extra assistance and stuff like that. And so I was really excited until I actually got into it, honestly. And so when I got into it, I had a script, like a big book, and I sat at that table with the students, and I was like doing second grade phonics with them. Say the word th. Say the word ba. Say the word doing all these sounds and stuff like that. And it wasn't about what I was teaching because I was actually teaching middle school students. And it did bug me a little bit, like, why am I teaching them second grade phonics and stuff like that? And I assumed that there was something that they needed. But the thing about me is that I like freedom, and I like to be very creative, and I like to be very diverse with my learning, my teaching style, and how I can articulate a message to accommodate the different learning styles and learning disabilities and just the different students in my classroom. And I felt so restricted and I felt so restrained because I was teaching from a script, and I didn't have much freedom to really allow my personality to become a part of what I was doing. And so that really put a hindrance on my experience because I really did not like that. So that was interesting. So let me see. So I'm moving down my blog on field placement. Let's see. Okay. And so after this next experience, we were like October now, we're near the end of October. This is the last field placement in October. And I've been at this consistent intervention team now for a couple weeks, and I still don't like the idea that I'm teaching from the script. So, but I'm just making the best out of the situation and putting my personal interests and stuff aside and really just teaching them and getting the message across what I'm trying to get across to them. And so after sitting with my new supervisor teacher, who I really enjoyed, she was explaining to me that during lunchtime, sometimes, some of the teachers normally would walk to 7-Eleven, and they would grab a bite to eat. And so I was excited about this. I'm like, yeah, I go to 7-Eleven. I never been to 7-Eleven. I'm like, wait a minute, And I was excited because I'm like, oh yeah, they normally had a Slurpees. And so it was really fun because I was able to work with like a big group of teachers. And like it was just awesome because I felt like I was on that other side of the threshold. Like when I was in middle school, when I was in school, there was just this divide between teacher and student, and this little stuff in the middle, you never crossed it. And it was like I had crossed over to that other world, that threshold, and I'm like, I'm with the teachers now. And this is like, they reminded me like they were just some big kids just going to 7-Eleven just to get junk food. And it was really cool. One thing that really bugged me though at this specific day is that my supervising teacher, she began to talk negatively about her coworkers and the principal, and this really changed how I perceived her. and I was still trying to decide, like,